The Ford Motor Company was not only prepared for the financial impact of a global recession, they had a plan in place that included both the restructuring of its worldwide enterprise for the 21st century and the rollout of the most extensive and revolutionary new product plan in its history. It was a great convergence at Ford, the skilled direction and focus of a new leader, the vision of the leader that bears the company's name, the commitment and loyalty of workers around the world, and importantly, the can-do heritage and tradition of an institution deeply embedded into the fabric of America, which, for over a century, has weathered every storm, responded to every challenge, and been at the forefront of invention and innovation. It has been said that it is impossible to understand the 20th century, or even where we are at the dawn of the 21st, without understanding the Ford Motor Company. For over a century, the fingerprints of Ford have been everywhere and touched every aspect of our society, improving lives, connecting people, defending America, spurring innovation, and reshaping our culture, from the way we enjoy ourselves to the music we listen to. It has been called the quintessential American company, a company imbued with the spirit, imagination, and vision of its founder.
Henry Ford was a doer, not a dreamer. Whereas people sit in their offices and think about things to do, he'd get up and do them. He loved going out on the factory floor. And when we became the empire we became, he got in his car or got on a train and went and visited places that were making things for him, or even his competitors. He liked seeing things, and he really believed in hands-on.
In 1908, Henry Ford introduced the car that put the world on wheels, the legendary Model T. But back then, it took a crew around 12 hours to assemble each one. Henry knew that if he was to fulfill his dream of making cars affordable for everyone, he'd have to find a way to make a high-quality, reliable car more efficiently and faster than ever before. At the same time, his driving passion was to use technology to reduce the heavy physical demands on his workers. So he came up with a revolutionary concept. Instead of making the men move to the work, he moved the work to the men. His invention of the moving assembly line reshaped manufacturing worldwide, and perhaps more than any other factor defined the 20th century and all the growth that would follow. He hadn't only changed the way great products were made, he changed the lives of the people who made them. In 1914, Henry Ford stunned the world again by doubling the wages of his assembly workers to an unheard of $5 a day. Tens of thousands of people from across the nation and around the world came to work for Ford, and for the first time could afford the very vehicles they made. Overnight, a new American middle class was created. Henry Ford dreamed of building the ultimate factory, a factory that never waited for parts, that never slowed for lack of steel shipments or glass. He dreamed of a factory that, using basic raw materials, would create everything it needed on site. Thus, from an empty field along a nondescript river, the mighty Rouge was born. By the late 1920s, it was in full production. Coal, iron ore, limestone, lumber, and 100 other raw materials arrived daily. 24 hours later, they were engine blocks, wheel rims, and radiator grills. 72 hours later, they were automobiles. The Rouge was more than a factory of bricks and steel. 1.5 miles long and 3/4 of a mile wide, with a staff of over 100,000, the plant worked like a single, complex, well-oiled machine, an industrial miracle, immortalized by artists, captured by photographers, and studied by industrialists to this day. It would, in time, become a critical part of the Ford legacy of constant improvement and reinvention, and harnessing the power of industry to improve the lives of ordinary people. During World War II, from 1942 to 1945, it was the Ford Motor Company that completely shut down civilian vehicle production to dedicate all its resources to the Allied war effort. The arsenal of democracy was born, with Ford at the very epicenter. By the end of the war, the industrial might of Ford and tens of thousands of skilled UAW Ford auto workers were producing 80% of the B-24 Liberator bombers, one every hour, as well as aircraft engines, tanks, and a host of war materials. And throughout the last half of the 20th century, the company continued to affect virtually every aspect of American society and culture, from the space program and the building of the Mission Control Center in Houston, to a wide variety of sophisticated mission-critical defense and aerospace systems, to the very things that affect our everyday lives, our highways and interstate system, television programming and advertising, the electronics and appliances in our homes, the 8-hour workday, and Sunday drives and picnics. A new popular culture was born. It's even been reported that some of the greatest popular music of all time was inspired by the rhythms of the machines at Ford's mighty Rouge plant. Television exploded onto the scene through automobile advertising. But most of all, the decades following the post-war era were defined by the American road and our love of the automobile. It represented freedom in its purest sense and the height of American style and enthusiasm. And even today, people around the country share collective memories of the most iconic cars of all time. The years of the famed Lincoln Continental, Ford Thunderbird, the F-Series trucks, and of course, the Mustang. As the Ford Motor Company emerges from the unprecedented trials of the last decade, it does so as a leaner, more efficient, redesigned global enterprise. Gone are the days of expansive bureaucracies that literally spanned the world. At the point of the spear is what's known as the One Ford plan. When Alan Mulally joined the Ford Motor Company in September 2006, Ford was an organization with responsibilities spread out and duplicated across the world. The decentralized structure led to tremendous inefficiencies, both in terms of business operations and in terms of bringing the very best products to market. It was time for a serious refocusing on their core automobile business.
Well, One Ford really captures the essence of where we've been at Ford, but also where we're going. Because Henry Ford, when he created Ford, he was really focused on a focused Ford itself around the world. Although he had operations around the world, they all were one Ford. And over the years, we acquired a lot of different brands. We moved away from the Ford, Lincoln, Mercury brands themselves. Aston Martin, Jaguar, Land Rover, Mazda, Volvo. So the One Ford is really our vision going forward of getting back to the original vision of focusing on Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, and pulling everybody together around the world so we could leverage these fabulous assets and intellectual capital around the world to deliver the very best cars and the trucks under the Ford, Lincoln, Mercury brand.
Bringing the massive company under the One Ford banner was merely the first step of an overarching strategy that has reinvented the way Ford operates. The next step was to examine exactly what it is that the customers of today and tomorrow are looking for, and to redirect all efforts toward fulfilling those needs. Ford recognized that people are looking for strong, distinct products and brands they can relate to, exciting designs, vehicles that have world-class quality and reliability, products that are fuel efficient and environmentally responsible, and of course, products that represent real value. The entire company became focused around these new consumer priorities.
When we pulled together around our One Ford plan, the most important thing I think that we all did together was develop a point of view about the future and where was the market going? Where were the consumers going? What would we all really appreciate and value in our purchase decision? And all of our analysis and all of our work and all of our conversations led to the fact that we all worldwide really care about quality of the vehicles that we buy. We want them to be reliable, highest quality. The second thing is we expect that they are the most fuel efficient vehicles in the world because we care about the environment, we care about sustainability. So are they the most fuel efficient? The next one was safety. This is about safe and efficient transportation. These are our families. And of course, we also care about smart, cool design and the very best value. And so we led the transformation of Ford by focusing on the market and the customers and driving that into everything we do to produce the best cars and trucks that deliver on that brand promise.
To further its efforts in reaching out to the American car buyer of today with credibility and authenticity, the new Ford team has forged a remarkable and unprecedented partnership with its 4,000 Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealers throughout America, many of whom have been in the Ford family for generations. They are the face of the Ford Motor Company, its brands and its vehicles, in cities and towns across the country. And with a renewed sense of purpose, the men and women in these dealerships are reaching out to car and truck buyers, young and old, with the products and services that are defining this new American road.
Our relationship and our partnership with the dealers is absolutely probably the most important part of our business plan going forward. Our dealers are the face of Ford.
It's a true partnership that we have with Ford Motor Company, and I can say this going back to 15 years that I've been here and been a dealer. We have never had a better relationship than we currently do, even though the times are a little bit tumultuous right now. And that goes back to having the right product, the right time, with the right technology that allows both of us to go forward. Because they can't be successful without us, and we can't be successful without them.
I think our partnership with Ford, I've been a dealer for 27 years, and I've never felt the partnership as strong as it is right now. And that has a lot to do with the CEO, Al Mulally, and bringing in his form of management and keeping in touch with the dealers. They listen to the dealers. They want to know what's happening with the dealers. They want to have our input.
At Toyota, I had great dealers. But the Ford dealers have been in business for 75 or 100 years. I went to the 100th anniversary of a dealer this year in Minnesota. Now, talk about a fundamental relationship with your community. I work for a company where our dealers are so integrated to their community, they are part of the fabric of that town. And when they represent your product, they're not just selling things. Their reputation's on the line. Their family name is on the line. And now they get to sell a product that has world-class quality, fuel economy, and they have customers come in saying, thank you. I am so glad I bought a Ford.
The remarkable array of Ford and Lincoln Mercury models being introduced today and over the months ahead reflect an extraordinary technological revolution that has quietly taken place in the research and development, design and engineering laboratories at Ford. Technology that redefines the driving experience and elevates the bond between man and machine to a whole new level.